Hi everybody, Leo Babauta from Zen Habits here. So happy to be here with you. I hope you're having an amazing day. In this video, we're going to talk about cultivating mindfulness in a digital world. And I think this is very relevant to our lives these days because a lot of us are living in like our digital lives, right? We're on our phones, doing productive things, doing entertaining things, doing things that maybe even have to do with mindfulness, communicating with each other, connection, creativity, not just on our phones, but our computers, watching, television devices as well, iPads and, so forth, right? And so we're very digital these days. And, maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but a lot of people that I've seen, this is how we are. And what I'm making this video for is for the people who might feel overwhelmed by all of this. People who might feel the constant pull of their attention to these kinds of things and maybe want to reclaim some of that attention. Maybe you're scrolling endlessly and feeling more drained at the end of it rather than connected or inspired. Um, Maybe you're just feeling a lot of digital noise rather than some peace. So, what we're going to do is help you to not only cultivate mindfulness in all of this chaos, but how to like reclaim your focus and find some calm in the middle of all of this. Okay, so does that sound good? Let's dive into it. Before we get into the hows, let's talk about the whys. The why reclaim our attention and focus? Why find some calm and peace? Well, hopefully this part is obvious, so I'm not going to go too deep into it, but I think a lot of us are feeling this, and it can almost feel like we don't have a choice. We kind of feel at the mercy of all of this kind of stuff. We have emails to answer and messages to answer in many different platforms. We have to-do lists, maybe in multiple places. Our finances are online. Our entertainment is online these days. Our ways of connecting with each other and learning are all online. And so when it's all there, we kind of feel like we don't have a choice. And this gives us a sense of powerlessness. And that I think is not the way we want to live our lives. And so to reclaim some of our authorship over our lives, as opposed to kind of like this is just happening to us, we can start to stake a claim, at least a little bit of space of what we can actually control. And what can we control? Well, it turns out we can control our attention to some degree, right? Some of it is at um, the whim of our surroundings, just like, our ability to like resist junk food. Well, if you are constantly surrounded by junk food, you will eat that sometimes. You'll cave. For most people, because we have these kind of primitive parts of our brain that kicks in and says, eat that, right? And these fast food companies and kind of packaged food companies have found ways to tap into those parts of our brains. They're motivated to do that because they get more money when we buy their stuff, right? If we buy their junk food, their sweets, their fried stuff, whatever it is, we, our health suffers, our wallet suffers, but their bottom line improves. And so they're motivated to find ways to do that. And the same thing is true for the online world. These app makers, social media platforms, entertainment platforms, all of it, their motivation is to get more people to use it more of the time and to be more engaged, clicking on things, scrolling. If they can get you to do it more, they win. They make billions through this, right? And so that isn't necessarily good for our mental health, our attention, what we want to create in the world. They get us to buy more things. Shopping online is a consequence of that, but also just kind of like using it all the time. And so we can reclaim some of that. And just like with junk food, one of the things we can do control is not only our own attention, but our surroundings, our environment. And so that'll get in a little bit into the how in a bit. But I also want to talk about how this works. How are we being tapped into? And the thing is that our brains, just like wanting to get some, fat, sugar, and salt, some calories in, some quick calories, our brains have primitive parts that are tapped into by junk food, but they're also tapped into by these online and digital app, social media type people who are creators, right? And so the way that they do that is they hook our attention. Part of it is through fear. If we're afraid for our safety, we can't turn away. If there's a tiger there about to eat us, we can't like, oh, there's roses over here. No, your brain is like, I am fixated on that danger until I feel safe. And the thing is, the online platforms find ways to tap into the fear part of our brain. We need to keep our attention on. If we think we're in danger or the world is falling apart, we will scroll. We will be on there doing what we need to do. So our attentions get captured by fear. FOMO is another kind of fear. So, oh, these other people are doing these really cool things. Maybe I should be doing that too. These other people are on these incredible trips. Maybe I should be booking a trip as well. These other people have these really great outfits. They're like showing off on TikTok. Maybe I need to buy that as well. And so the fear of missing out, the fear that you're not doing good enough, the fear that other people are engaging in things that you should be engaged in. That is fear. And again, our attention has a hard time getting away from fear. Now, of course, there's not just fear, but that is a huge part of it. The other part that they tap into is our need for social connection. So if we are sitting alone at home and we don't have any connection, then maybe there's a part of our brain that's like, oh, maybe I gotta, like reach out to so and so or see how so and so is doing on, Instagram or find a date online. And so our need for connection is real. We as humans need connection. And so these apps, these platforms, these digital kind of creators have found ways to make us um, want to to tap into the part of us that wants to connect to others. We have this real need, and so they are like, oh, here's an easy frictionless way to do that without having to like go through social awkwardness and deal with all of your anxiety. Ooh, great. Frictionless, simulation is really what we want. We want something that is going to simulate the connection without having the friction of actually having to go out and meet people and, be in awkward social situations. So great. They have found ways to do that. Another bit is the dopamine hits. Just like food gives us a little bit of a hit of like pleasure and like, ooh, that was great. They have little ways to give us a little bit of pleasure. If there's like a cool, entertaining video, it's like, ooh, that was really nice. And when our lives are so drained by the digital world, we crave little bits of like joy and fun and play. And they found a way to tap into that. Now, if you scroll endlessly because you're getting these little dopamine hits, you'll find that actually it drains you. It doesn't give you more joy. But our brains are thinking, "Oh, it gave me something. It's gonna give me another one." It's like those, um, they have these animal experiments where you like give them a food, a little piece of food, a little pellet. The animal will continue to do the same action over and over with the hopes that they'll get the same pellet again. The Pavlovian kind of response happens, even if they're not getting the pellets. Even if they're not, they will still try over and over and over again because their brains are like, "Ooh, I did that a few times and I did get the reward, so I need to like keep doing it." And they're not getting it. This is how gambling addiction works as well. And so the same kinds of primitive parts of our brains are tapped into by all of the digital world. So now that I've laid all of that out there for you, mostly this is not going to be new to you, but it is good to kind of lay it out really bare and plain. Now that I've laid that out for you, how do we start to shift that? Well, part of it is we could just toss all of it out there and just like not do any of it, and just kind of cut ourselves off digitally. Now, the problem with that is that isn't actually how the world works these days. Not having a connection to the online world can be a real disadvantage. We can't, maybe there's certain jobs we can't have, so we cut off a huge swath of the workforce. Maybe we can't pay our bills or do our banking or talk to people. Maybe I need to do Zoom calls with people across the world. And so if we wanted to cut off our digital lives, I've actually tried it for a while. Um, it is really hard, not just because we're addicted or because we get our pleasure and entertainment through it, but because this is how we function these days as a society, for good or bad. But it is just the reality of things. And personally, I have so much good stuff that I find online too. So I wouldn't want to toss out the baby with the bathwater. So for example, creating, as I'm doing with this video right now, I love that. I'm aware of the irony of talking about how things, the digital platforms trap us while producing something for a digital audience. I'm aware of that irony, but for me, creating a video like this is actually quite rewarding, quite beautiful, and I find it to be something that is a good use of my creativity and time. And so these platforms actually have given me a voice and a way to help others. So I think that there's something useful in that, and I wouldn't want to toss it out. Same thing with my blog and my newsletters and habits.net if you're not subscribed yet. And then I do other things like coaching groups, my Fearless Mastery program. I do one-on-one coaching where I'll often do Zoom calls with my clients. I do a membership program called Fearless Living Academy, where I'd have like lots of digital courses and a community and challenges and webinars. So there's a lot that I do online that I think is worthwhile. I also learn a lot online. A lot of you know that I've been pursuing chess as a learning, something that I'm really fascinated by and wanting to learn more about. So I've been learning all year about chess through online platforms. It's amazing. And so I wouldn't toss all of that out. So we don't want to just stop being a part of the digital world, but we also don't want to be a slave to it. So what can we do about this? Well, the answers are kind of embedded in some of what I've said already. So let's talk about some really simple things that we can start doing. The first is to just cultivate mindfulness as a daily practice. The reason why mindfulness is helpful for this is because if we start to be aware of what is happening to us, we can take a breath and we can stop and we can be more intentional. We can do something about it. We are no longer a victim to all of these kinds of online impulses and fears that they're tapping into, but we can actually start to make choices, be at choice, and be an author of our lives. And we do that by being aware of what's happening. Ooh, I've been scrolling and I'm like feeling anxious, right? So they've tapped into my anxiousness and I can just bring awareness to that. And so if we can have that awareness, we can start to do some of the other things that I'm going to talk about. So a mindfulness practice that we can do is every once in a while, just stop and check in on our bodies and our minds and our emotions. So bodies is like, maybe I place my hands over my heart area and I can just feel like, what's going on in my body right now? I'm feeling anxious, or I'm feeling tight, or I'm feeling like really shallow breaths. So I can just feel physically what's happening in my body. What's going on with my mind? Oh, my mind's really like hooked right now. I could feel it's draining to be hooked like this. Or I'm feeling like overwhelmed and like frazzled, or I'm feeling stressed and anxious, or I'm feeling like I'm not doing enough. Okay, so I'm just noticing what the mind is thinking and doing, and I might just notice my emotions as well. I'm feeling really, like I said, anxious, sad, excited. And so by doing this simple check-in, body, mind, emotions, I can start to just be aware of what's going on. Take a little bit of an assessment. So this is one idea. You could You do some kind of physical thing. Sometimes I've done a couple of taps on my wrist. There's nothing magical about that other than it kind of helps me to remember to take a little bit of a pulse. So I'm like, oh, okay, what do I need to do? Another thing I've seen people do is to tap their nose or their forehead. And so just a little tapping or placing your hand somewhere really helps you to check in. And I would recommend that you try and do this a few times a day. This gives you a little bit of a break to stop, to breathe, and to do a little bit of a reset. You might take a break and walk away. And that's actually tip number two, is we don't have to be immersed in the digital world all the time. We can be intentional about our use of the digital world. And what that means is we can step away from it, go for a walk, go get a glass of water, stretch, do a couple of yoga poses, do some push-ups or squat down on the floor and just kind of sit in the squat position for a minute. Um, you know, shake off all of the stress, kind of talk to someone in real life, go out and touch grass. So we're just like, connect with nature even for a few minutes and then come back. And therefore you will be kind of reset. Also, by the way, physically, our brains need a little bit of a break from it, but also our eyes. Our eyes can get strained looking at the same distance over and over. And so we need to like go out and look at things that are at different distances, like further away. And this means that our eyes aren't so strained by looking at the same screen over and over again. Put your phone down when you walk away and go and do something else that is physical, that is social, without digital, that is in solitude or nature, that is mindful. Maybe you meditate for a minute or two. Okay. And then intentional also means what am I going to do as I go on to the computer or my phone? What would I like to do next? And so I might like, I want to create this video, or I want to write something, or I want to journal, or I want to, do the next task on my to-do list, or organize my to-do list, or something. And so that kind of intention, you set it before you do it, and then you try and do it, and then you pause, and you might even reflect, how did my intention go? Ah, I got pulled away. Okay, great. What can I learn about that? How can I change that? So reflection helps you to check in. How did my intentions go? Did I stick to them or did I not? And this is not about beating ourselves up or making ourselves feel inadequate. This is simply about, oh, what happened there? Can I get curious? Can I learn from it each time so that I can, over time, get better and better at sticking with my intentions? Another thing that we want to do is to change our environment. And so to do that, we might start to use things that you've heard of before, maybe, but maybe we don't really use them. But things like um, blockers, right? So site blockers, there's a number of them. I'm not current on the current ones, but there were things like freedom and oh, I totally forgot it. But anyway, I'm sorry. So Google like site blockers, and you can do the same thing on your phone. You can use an app that blocks certain other apps. In addition, we can delete certain apps. So I can go onto my phone and be like, I don't need to be on this app a million times a year. I mean, a day. Let me delete that. And maybe I'll just take a break from it for a week or two. When you come back, maybe you can be more intentional about it. Maybe you can be like, okay, I'm going to make it inconvenient. I have to go to the website to look at Instagram, right? Or TikTok or whatever. And then on the website, you might have, through your site blocker, a limit on how long you'll let yourself look at one of those social media things. Maybe it's for 5 minutes. Okay, that'll give me the little bit of catch up that I need to, and then I need to get off of it. And so we want to limit our use. And you can, the different operating system, iOS and Android, have ways to limit certain app usage as well. And so what we're doing here is starting to create an environment that isn't so like automatic, but is more intentional. And finally, I also really like to use full screen apps. So for example, if I'm going to write, um, I use a full screen app. Lately, I'm using an app called Paper, but I've used um, oh, I've totally forgotten a bunch of them. Byword is one. Ohm Writer. Uh, Oh, so many different ones I've used. But basically, it's a writing app that is nothing but writing, and you make it full screen. And so that's just you in that app. You can play some music in the background if you like, um, but just you and the app. And so you can do that with writing, but you can do that with a lot of things, right? So for example, with this video, if I close everything else, it's just me and this video that I'm talking to here, which I think of as you. Um, I also, if I'm on Zoom, I like to use the full screen button so that I'm just on Zoom and I'm not trying to click around and doing other things. And so by going full screen mode in whatever we're doing, we don't get in the mode of switching, 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 switching. And what that does is it really helps us to reclaim that focus. I am going to give this my full attention. This is this is what I've set my intention to be, and I'm going to give that my full focus. And we're practicing here. We're not going to be perfect with that, but imagine that you can go full screen mode in whatever you've set your intention in. So these would be some things that I recommend. I also recommend cultivating something that is outside of the digital world. So, for example, I like to go for walks or go out and play a sport or have in person kind of social activities. Maybe I like to do something with my kids or other friends or loved ones. And we do it and we even set some rules. We are not going to be on our phones while we're here. And if we are, we have to like make an agreement. Okay, for the next minute, I need to text someone. And so let's agree that for a minute, we're going to take a phone break, do what we need to do, and then come back and be off of it. And by having these kinds of agreements with our friends and loved ones, we can actually cultivate a more fully present kind of experience with them outside of the digital world. I think it's actually getting more and more rare that people do that. Um, that's what I've got for you today. I hope this has helped. I wish you a more mindful life, whether you're in the digital world or outside of it. In another video, I'd like to talk about digital decluttering a little bit more because I think that can really help decluttering our lives so that we don't feel so scattered. But for now, I would really like for you to cultivate this mindfulness no matter what you're doing. Hand to your heart, set your intentions, feel what you're going through, and then let yourself become the author of your life, even in the digital world, even with everything that's going on. That's my prayer for you. My friends, if you like this video, please do give it a like. It helps with the algorithm for other people to discover it. Leave a comment. I really love the comments that you've been leaving. Subscribe if you'd like to get more of this going forward. I'm really trying to build a community here on YouTube. And then share this with others who could use some Zen habits in their lives. Thanks, my friends. Have an amazing, amazing day.